What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified anytime something comes up on the channel. In this video, we're gonna be hooking up our Hardline steam port kit we got from Holley Performance. The reason why we are doing this now and not before, I've had it for weeks and weeks and weeks. However, one of my friends, Eric, was letting me borrow his steam port kit for the engine startup and for the first few events because he didn't need his. But now he needs his, so I've given him his back and now I have to put mine on. So basically what you have a port on the back of each head and you have a port on the front of each head. And these pipes run from those ports to this little block. So the rear will run up to the block and the front will run up to the block. And this will come down through here and out. We're gonna plumb it to the radiator. So where the existing one was right here. And we had this line running from it over to the top of the radiator. So it just puts all the air back into the top of the radiator. You can also do this, you can run it to the top of a reservoir. Just as long as you're not running it back into the system, I think you'll be okay. The only issue that I'm having with this is I have this big Hi-Ram intake and it's kind of hard to get underneath it with all these ports and also trying to tighten them up. So I'm hoping that I don't have to take it off and maybe I can just fit a wrench down in these holes and give it a little tighten, but I don't think it's gonna work that way. I tried putting it together and then trying to squeeze it through here, but it's not gonna work. So I may have to take the intake off, which is going to completely suck. In case any of y'all were wanting this Hardline kit, this is actually the part number from Holley. It comes with these steam lines, these hard steam lines, and then also I've already got most of it out of the box, but
who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time.
Something that's really cool about this kit is it comes with two separate pieces for the actual port that comes out of the heads, and it allows it to swivel. So you can pretty much have this line come in wherever and it'll still fit because you can swivel it around like this. Really all this is you stick a bolt through here and that's just what holds it to the head. The actual sealing takes place on this one. There's a little rubber O-ring, so it just sits on there and keeps it sealed. So I'm gonna try and knock this out without having to take the intake off. I don't think it's gonna work. I think I'm gonna have to end up taking it off, but we're gonna just mess around with it and see what we can do. So what I did that I think is gonna help is these runners are pretty long, so I can fit my hand in there. So I just took the fuel rail off, laid it over to the side. Of course, it's just 2 bolts. Took this front line off, and it comes right out. So I'm going to try and reach my hand down in here. You can see there's one of the ports right there, and that line goes all the way back to here, and then the same on the other side. So I'm gonna just try and reach my hand in there and get those tight. The only reason I don't want to pull the intake off is just because you got to pull this off, you got to pull all these wires off. We got the throttle cable set exactly where we want it. I don't want to have to take all that off. All the vacuum lines in the back and the sensors, I'd just rather just leave it on if we can and just take that off. I think we can get to it from here. We might have to do the same on the other side, but we'll just try this and see if it works. All right, just so you guys don't make the same mistake I did, I went ahead and kind of mocked them up. I've got the actual vent tube here that will run to this line and then back out to the radiator, but I went ahead and hooked these up. So what I did first was there were 2 long ones and 2 short ones of these, and I thought maybe the short ones would go up front, the long ones would go in the back, but once I put it on there it was crooked, and I was like, well, what the heck, what could be making it go crooked? Well, I started thinking one of these ports sits up further than the other just because the heads are offset from one another. See how there's a slight gap here? So this head sits back a little bit further than that one. So I went ahead and put a short one on this side and a long one on this side, and now it lines up pretty much perfect inside there. Then I got 2 more here, same thing. One is a little bit longer than the other. I'm gonna go ahead and try and put these in the back and then try and snug everything down. Holy poop, that was so difficult. And the crazy part is the difficult part was not putting them all together or whatever. It was the passenger side back of the head. I was trying to feel my way underneath the intake manifold to reach back there and start tightening with this hand, holding it with my left hand, but I couldn't turn it with this hand, and I could barely turn it with my left hand, so I had to unhook the whole thing again and start with that one. Finally got it threaded on there, and now it's done. Everything is tight. I tightened these bolts in the head. I think that said only like 5 foot-pounds is what those need to be on. All of those back through there are tight. Now all I have to do is run my line to here. Because this one isn't long enough, I'm gonna have to get another piece of hose and run it to it, and hopefully that will solve that problem, and then we're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this fuel rail back on and button her up. This is one thing that I love about Holley. All of your harnesses are marked. So this says injector 2, and this one will say, it says injector 4, and then this one says injector 6 and injector 8. So it's just all so easy to just plug and play. All right, that one was a booger to get in. I had to basically unclamp it and then push it on there to get it to work. I guess these little clips on the side were a little weird. All the rest of them went on. Now I'm gonna zip tie this harness to the fuel rail, and then we're done. Well, that's that. I got the fuel line put back on, got the harnesses zip tied up to the fuel rail, and she's all back together. So that's gonna do it for this one. It was a little bit shorter, I know, and a little uninformative just because I didn't have the intake off, so it's hard to show you what was inside there. But if you guys are planning on doing a steam port kit on your LS and you have a Hi-Ram and are able to fit a hardline kit underneath the intake, I would highly recommend it. It looks sick, and it's gonna do exactly what it needs to do, and it's made from a great company, Holley Performance. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button, bell icon, leave some comments down below if you like content like this working on the car, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.